Hey, welcome to the Straight Sports Podcast, episode 33, where we host Tushar and
Joshua.
in this podcast we talk about our favorite sports, which are basketball, soccer, and wrestling.
So, topic one,
Ooh.
NBA.
Ooh.
The Swedish from Woj says, after finalizing a contract buyout with the Utah Jazz, 9-time All-Star guard Russell Westbrook
Mhm.
plans to sign, he did sign, with the Clippers. His agent, Jeff Schwartz of Excel Basketball, tells ESPN.
Hmm.
So, what are your thoughts on this, and how would you grade the Clipper signing of Russ on a scale of 1 to 10?
Remember we had Danny on last episode. And shout out to Danny,
Shout
man.
out
We
Danny.
had one of our highest viewed episodes. Um, so we that was I think our second highest, right, Josh? Like
Yeah,
second
yeah.
highest viewed episode. Obviously, our views for compared to last episode, the increase that we got. So we appreciate that, and also appreciate all the people who've been tuning in. So we appreciate all the support. But yeah, to get to the question, obviously remember last time when Danny came on, he talked about Russ being a Clipper for sure. You guys were locking it, and I said I don't know how to feel about this. And obviously, if you look at on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give a rating. Obviously, for me, I'm gonna go an 8 on this, not a
Hmm.
10. Obviously, because obviously I understand it's kind of in the middle of the season, right? So that comes with, having to build that chemistry and all that. But I'll give it an A because he kind of feels what we needed. The Clippers, again, traded John Wall, which again, I'm kind of upset about a little because I felt like John Wall was never given a full chance. I thought he played good with the time that he had. But of course, they kind of moved on, and I hope somebody signs him. Unfortunately, he still hasn't got signed. I think he's way too talented not to be signed.
I
He's a
agree.
plus on a team. Maybe he's not maybe you don't see him as a starter, but he could definitely come off the bench, and he's you call a playmaker for sure. And then obviously we lost Reggie, so we lost both of our point guards. And shout out Denver, they got better. They got Reggie Jackson, so shout out to them. If you look at Russ again, we lost both of our point guards. So if you want to look into what we needed, obviously a playmaker, he fills that position. He averages 7.5 assists this season. He's a great playmaker. He's averaged triple double so many seasons. He can pass the basketball. Um, Vocal leadership, obviously Kawhi and is not really the leader we talk about when it comes to vocal, obviously. That same thing with guys like KD, but Russell Westbrook will bring that vocal leadership, that locker room presence. Also a guy who plays 110% all the time, plays, he'll play, he'll give it his all, and he'll definitely motivate, the Clippers to even every game to keep them on check. So I like the addition, obviously. I think and then also again he brings, like we said, go again, vocal leadership. He'll bring playmaking. One thing, the Clippers, we are not a very fast-paced team when it comes pushing the pace in transition. He's good at that. He pushes the pace. He accelerates. He can get easy buckets in transition. Also, he's going to help Kawhi and PG get easy buckets. So I think if you look at what we needed, he's a good signing. Obviously, there's criticism about Russ and everything, but I feel like he's bought in. I think he's getting criticized way too much. We're about to talk about their losing streak that they had, and I know everybody was blaming him. So it's tough about the blame, but we're gonna get into that. But I think it's a good signing. But again, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Obviously, I'm not here to say that this is obviously in the middle of the season. He's a great player, but I think it's an 8.
Okay, me personally, I'm giving this move a nine,
Hmm.
9.5, almost 10, pretty much. You know, I think it's a great signing. He literally fits what you guys desperately needed was a point guard after you traded away all your guards for a reason I don't really understand. Maybe this Westbrook thing was the plan from the jump. Who knows? But I feel like it's a great signing. He is a great playmaker. He's already averaging 8 assists in the games that he played. So I'm with you guys. So I think that's great. Like you said, with his pace, he pushes the pace, pushes the tempo. He can drive and kick, get some people open shots. He is a capable and a willing playmaker. We see his ability, and I feel like this is exactly what you guys needed. You need this kind of playmaker to unlock the offense and unlock the potential of PG and Kawhi when he plays games. But yeah, I feel like it's a great signing. Like he's literally what you needed, and this is a way better situation for him because, as we know
100%.
how it ended in LA, it wasn't that great of a fit. This team he's on now, way more shooting, way better spacing.
Shout out. Obviously, I thought Frank Vogel quote quote was the problem. Russ quote quote was the problem.
Yeah,
Threw
everyone's a
under the
problem,
bus.
man.
Those two guys were definitely thrown under the bus for
I
no
100%
reason.
agree, man. And I feel like this team is just way better for him. And I feel like as time goes on, he'll settle in and he'll get better over time. He's already playing great, in my opinion. He just did have a bad game, but Just
Only
one.
one. But
Yeah,
only thing, obviously, when it comes to Russ, obviously, everybody, I know, understand, turns the ball over. That's the reason, obviously, is the
that's true.
turnovers.
That's fair.
Sometimes it's like you're playing in the fourth and it's about turning the ball over the wrong times. That's something that's a little free from. Obviously, the defense, like the way he shoots, like he's not,
Yeah.
his strength is not shooting. We know that.
Hmm.
And obviously, I was watching that Golden State game and the way they were guarding him, just like Ben Simmons, like
Yeah, it was
to
embarrassing,
that
bro.
level. But
Draymond was in
Russ
the
still will
paint
try to
smacking
shoot,
up.
but I feel like at that time he was not even trying to
He
shoot.
was
But
scared, I think.
yeah, but like with the Clippers, he's been shooting some threes he's been making. I like when
Yeah,
he's confident, but I also understand that he can't just come up every possession and shoot it. He
that's
gotta, because
facts.
if they keep doing it every possession, well, he's gonna keep shooting it. So I understand what he was trying to do, but yeah, it was a little tough. Yeah.
Yeah. So next, do you think Russ is a good fit on the Clippers, and will the Clippers regret signing him?
I feel like personally, I think this is a good signing. I don't think they'll regret signing him because they kind of needed him with trading their both point guards. They're
Yeah,
kind of desperate need of a player like this. Um, So, but this is the thing I have is that let's say if this thing goes south and it started off to a rocky start. It's been pretty
yeah,
not the best envision what the Clippers envisioned when they initially signed him. But if it goes south, let's say worst case scenario, they get bounced out early. Like it feels like the blame is just going to be shifted to him. He's going to
yeah. It
become the new
will.
scapegoat. Don't think it's fair because again, I think I'm watching him play like initially, and actually, I think we're about to get into that soon. So I'm gonna talk about that a little later. But again, I just think it's a good sign. I don't think they regret it because I mean, again, yeah, we lost both of our point guards due to trades. We need a playmaker, another playmaker, so take that pressure off PG. And I think Terrence Mann, again, when he was starting, he's not a traditional point guard. We're having some success. But yeah, I don't think they regret it. And I think it's a good signing. I don't see why. Obviously, he has good chemistry with PG. And I'm watching him play, and I think he's having a positive impact. So yeah, but again, we're gonna get into that in a bit.
Yeah. So for me, I think he has been a good fit. Obviously, there's been some issues with his shooting, but I feel like as time goes on, they give him a confident shot as he always does. We know he's not scared to take him normally. So
Yeah,
and
yeah.
with the regret signing, I feel like no, there's no way they'll regret this because to me, Russ is the perfect signing, and I'll tell you why.
Hmm.
Because one, there's only two things that can happen. Either he helps them or hurts them, right? If he helps them, then it's a win, right?
Hmm.
And if he hurts them, I feel like this might be weird to say, but I feel like Russ is the perfect scapegoat. So this signing, essentially, in my opinion, it
Oh
buys them
God.
another year because no matter what they do, if they lose, they can just shift them to Russ as other teams
That's
have
kind
done.
of no,
So
I
they'll just
wouldn't like
blame
that,
Russ.
but
They'll just blame Russ, and then they can say when Russ is gone that now the team is better because he's gone. So to me,
uh,
there's no negative in signing Russ. Even if they lose, they'll just
uh,
blame Russ, and he'll be the scapegoat.
I don't
Facts.
know if they would blame him like that. They don't seem like
It's how it
that.
goes, man.
It's really just been the Lakers.
Yeah,
That's really what it's been, and it's unfortunate because it's LA and he's a LA home kid. He's getting booed in his hometown, being called that kind of name. And obviously, Um, we talked about that sense of it was more of his style of play, but he felt disrespected. And again, you got to look at his family. That you probably hear these kind of things, and it's not good to hear those kind of things in front of your kids. So I understand his frustration with that one, but you know, that's an interesting take. Obviously, I see where you're coming from. I hope that's not the case, but I want to say one thing about we were talking about good fit. The reason also is a good fit is the Clippers have all shooting around him.
facts.
You got Paul
Amazing
George,
spacing.
Kawhi, Marcus Morris, Nick Batum. They play a lot of
I don't know
small
about
ball
Morris,
lineup.
man.
They play a
I don't
lot
know
of
about
small.
Morris, bro.
They play a lot of small ball, so I think the fit is perfect with the shooting that surrounds him. So he has the
Yeah.
shooters and he can drive to the basket. He has space, so the fit is better. And with the Lakers, obviously, when you have look at the stars, it's Russ, LeBron, AD. Those three guys. LeBron again, he can shoot. Obviously, his primary strength is getting to the basket. AD, for some reason, he's been struggling, specifically shooting more recently. But again, primary is in the post. Russ primary is inside in the paint. So but with the Clippers, Kawhi and PG, like these guys' primary strength. I mean, they could do both equally, but Kawhi is a mid-range specialist. He can shoot the three at very efficiently. Same thing with PG. So it's a good fit with those two stars. They'll space the floor. Their primary strength is shooting. He's a better fit, and obviously, he's also starting. So I think that's probably something he wanted. And credit to him, he's done a good job. Like when he came off the bench, I mean, he had a case for sixth man of the year. Um, I think he's
Yeah.
still eligible. Not sure he'll win it, but he sacrificed, and that's something we got to see. He was willing to do whatever it takes for the team, and now he's with the Clippers. He's starting, and again, he's
Do you
playing
think that he
really.
should play the 6-man role here or no?
Initially when we
So would
when
you go
we
back to Terrence Mann starting?
when so initially when he signed, I understood why he started right away. But the
Yeah,
only thing I had was that before he joined, the Clippers obviously haven't really played good basketball all year long. That obviously could be because Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have missed a lot of games.
facts.
Um, but they were only like 5 games above 500, so it's not like we were like substantially playing good. But it felt like we were kind of catching that chemistry, that rhythm. They won 10 out of 14 games before the All Star break with Terrence Mann as starter. He's not a traditional point guard, but it was working. I remember the game against Phoenix. I know KD didn't play, but he had like 26, his defensive intensity, everything. So he's not a traditional point guard, but I felt personally that maybe he should have started and maybe Russ comes on the bench. Initially, I wasn't really a fan of Russ just starting right away. I understood it, but I wasn't a fan. I'm just gonna be honest. No disrespect to him.
Mm.
Because we were kind of playing already good. And then we started playing bad. So I'm like, why kind of go away from something that's kind of working? That's my only thing.
What are your thoughts on how Russell Westbrook has played so far, and would you rate his play on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, so if you look at kind of how he's played, I mean, first game against Sacramento, obviously he had let's see, he had 17 points. I mean, 14 assists. I was watching that game. Obviously,
Yeah.
we'll talk about the defense of the Clippers later. But
What defense?
obviously, I understand we talk about majority turnovers. He had 7, but this is the one thing I don't like. He turns the ball over. It's criticized. That's the only thing they talk about. They don't talk about the fact that, I mean, majority of his games he was a plus. Thoughts on how he's played so far? I'm gonna go a 9. I mean,
Mm.
I think that's fair. Only
Okay.
reason I didn't give him a 10, obviously, obviously turnovers, right? He had a one bad game, but if you just look relatively of his strengths, we know, yeah, he turns the ball over here and there. And the one thing I don't like, okay, in the first game, I mean, he has 14 assists. I never saw the Clippers get so many open
Yeah.
shots. And obviously, there's no knock on Reggie and John Wall because Reggie is more of a kind of a scorer, right? He can play make. John Wall was, again, he was kind of injured and he didn't play as much.
True.
But I mean, I didn't see the Clippers just open shots after open shots. It was just awesome to see. Obviously, yeah, he had 7 turnovers. But again, it was when I was watching that Sacramento game again, we were up like 14, and then PG, like, yeah, like 2 back-to-back turnovers. It's something like if Russ does that, he gets criticized. If somebody else does that, kind of gets over, like, they don't really talk about it. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you look at then the next game, Denver, he played limited minutes. He didn't play in the fourth quarter um and overtime. And I felt like at that game we could have used his energy because he was on fire. He was playing really good, and then he kind of got benched. And Ty Lue admitted why, he benched him because the Clippers were down, and then they came back, so he kind of sticked with it. The Minnesota game, obviously, he played good again, 14-10. The only game he played bad was Golden State.
Yeah.
The Sacramento game, I mean, he was probably the MVP for the
He
Clippers. I
was
mean, he was
clearly,
actually
easily
spectacular,
best
27 and
player.
10. Paul George played kind of really bad, but towards the end he played good. And then against Memphis again, I feel like he led the comeback as well when Kawhi was on the bench, him and PG. I mean, he was a plus, you said, I think +9. So, like, yeah, so I think he played relatively good. Obviously, you talk about
Mm.
turnovers, but the things he's playing to his strengths. Everything that the Clippers been asking him to do, he's been doing it. That's what I like to see. I want to see, okay, he's with the Lakers. Obviously, it's kind of didn't go as expected. And also some of the comments that he used to say with the Lakers, oh, no expectations. We weren't really fans of it. We didn't really like that, right? Because
Yeah.
obviously he played for the Lakers, but I feel like he's bought in with the Clippers. Obviously, he's setting screens, whatever the team wants, he's doing. He's playmaking. He's scoring when he needs to, rebounding the basketball, pushing the pace. Everything that the Clippers need from him, he's been doing. I don't really
Yeah.
have complaints. I wish it would have led to some wins. Obviously, we're only 1-5, obviously, and we're gonna about to get into more about the games. But yeah,
Me, I'll give him a. You said 9. I think that's kind of high. I'll probably give him like a 7, to be honest, because
I mean, he's
he's
played
giving you
good in
what you
4 to
expect.
5 games. Like
I mean,
that's
that's
kind of
that's
why.
true. Yeah, but I think he's giving you exactly what you expect from him. He's not playing out. He's not playing extremely well, but he's just giving you what you expect. He's
Mm.
double-digit points. Facilitate the offense. Obviously, comes with some turnovers, but that's just his game at this point. So I feel like he's playing exactly how I expected him to play. Like not too great, not too
And
bad.
also, I feel like he's been even pretty efficient. I mean, look,
Yeah,
Sacramento
he has been too. Honestly, yeah,
53%,
that's
60% from
true.
Denver, 45 in
That's true.
Minnesota. Okay, again, we already know he had one bad game. Sacramento 75% from the field. Like he's been pretty efficient.
That's true. But I just feel like he's just giving me. He's like this is what I expect from him.
Yeah,
Like for me to give anything higher than a 7, it had to be something out of the ordinary. Like
yeah, that's true.
but I don't know. That's how it is.
I
So
just like how
next,
he's bought in.
oh
Yeah, but yeah,
yeah,
go
true.
ahead.
So next, Clippers are currently 1-5 since acquiring Russ. On a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about the Clippers? do you think they can still make a deep postseason run? I want your honest, 100% real take, please.
All right, so let's kind of go through everything. When he first arrived, right?
Yeah.
We were 5 games over 500. Then we lost to Sacramento. That first game, we look at the schedule we lost. Sacramento, I think that's a game we should have won. We was up
Yep.
14, and we kind of let them come back, and it was just a high scoring game.
Extremely high scoring.
Very extremely high scoring game. But we lost, right? And I feel like that was a winnable game, and we only lost by 1 point, right? So obviously it could go either way. But the Denver game, we had a chance to win. Even Kawhi kind of admitted to this, that I think that play where I think it was before OT where they got the long rebound. Jamal Murray from kind of half court gave the pass, and Michael Porter Jr. hit a big three.
Yeah.
That kind of possession, they get that rebound, they probably win the game.
Yep.
So that's a tough situation. They could have beat Denver, and Denver again after the bubble, they're 9-2 against us. They literally own the Clippers. So but again, that's a winnable game. Minnesota, they just played bad. The Golden State one, when they lost to Golden State, I think I felt like I lost. Like I was just going crazy. I was thinking that kind of humiliation, a team that knows Steph Curry to lose like that in that fashion, it just got me so upset. I could understand Sacramento, Denver, fine, I accepted that. Minnesota, I think they should have won no cap, but the effort, it was just terrible. Then they play the Kings. Then after we know obviously Kawhi didn't play. I felt like, okay, after that game, even though we lost, that was a tough one. It would just comes down to like we had the lead, and obviously Russ played really good the whole game. And then when it came to that pass from Gordon, could have been a little high. It slipped, and we lost the game like that. So that was tough. But then we finally beat Memphis. But again, I was about to go crazy because that 51-point quarter they put in no Ja, obviously. They're missing Dylan Brooks, who's was suspension. Steven Adams wasn't available, and Brandon Clark unfortunately got an injury. Hopefully he gets better soon. He's a great player. They're missing a lot of players, and they had that 51-point quarter. So this is my thing with the Clippers. So you say how concerned I was. Right now, I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go 6. I know, like usually, I'm not always concerned about when teams like the Clippers we have the talent, but I was concerned because first of all, I see no defensive effort. Like I feel like we got to be better defensively. Let's just be honest. I mean, like to allow 51 points in a quarter is absolutely unacceptable. All these games is defensively. I think I seen the stat where like the Clippers are like they were ranked 4th defensively, I think this season. But I think in the last 11th, they were ranked, I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this. They were ranked 27th. That is absolutely terrible. Like at this point, when I looked at them, like, are we okay, on paper, we got all the defensive pieces. Are we a paper defensive team? Because it's bad.
You clearly are,
I'm like
bro.
watching no effort. And then even
Paper
Ty
made,
Lue admitted
man.
to it. It felt like, okay. Then I saw spurts of their defense. When they actually tried against Sacramento, they were losing. They tried playing, they played defense and at the end, and then they came back and they lost by 1 against Memphis. That fourth quarter, they allowed only 17 points by Memphis. Only that one quarter they decided to play defense. If the Clippers want to do anything, they better play. Their calling card is defense. Offense, I have no problem with them. They're on offense. You got Kawhi, PG, you got Russ, you got this whole squad. Offense, not a problem. But if the Clippers gonna win a championship or they have a chance, they better play defense 48 minutes. This is unacceptable to play when you feel like it. Their defense is unacceptable. And it's one thing we heard Paul George say, we're 2 guys with him and Kawhi. We're 2 guys who can get a bucket and stop on the other hand. This is like to see this was unacceptable. And I think this comes with obviously bringing Russ could help this bring that vocal leadership, but it also comes on the heels of Kawhi and PG. You're the stars of the team. You got to lead the way defensively. You got to set the tone. You set the tone, the team will follow. You got to take accountability for that. And yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. And do you think the Clippers still make a deep postseason run? I still believe it. Obviously, I'm very disappointed where they are currently. But the bottom line is, if they better play defense, if they don't play that defense, they only play when they feel like it. The Clippers might have an early exit and leave, and get out very soon. So it's all about their defense. I have no problem offensively. It's so sad to say that it's about their defense because this is something that should be their calling card. I hope they fix this because you can't just play defense when you feel like it. I'm very upset. And obviously, looking at other teams, do I think the Clippers are on the level right now? Right, the way they're playing right now, no. Let's see what happens in a couple of weeks and where they end up. Because right now they might be in the play-in. Like they gotta avoid that. Hopefully, get 60. But the West is stacked. That's the thing. They might play Phoenix in the first round. They might play Golden State. They could play. Who knows? Denver. I mean, they're 8th right now. You just don't know. And playing, you don't want to be in the play-in. You never know what can happen. It's one game. What if you're bad that one game? Now you're gonna play in a potential elimination game. You lose. You're out of the postseason. Because if the Clippers don't make the postseason, all I'm gonna say is, oh boy. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, so I guess me. They're 1-5. Concern. I mean, I'll say.
I gave them a 6. You gotta be concerned, but
Hmm.
you could it's your
I'll
comments
say.
about this.
I'll say 7.5
Mm,
because
that's that's fair.
considering they're in the West, they're 34-3 at the moment. If they had 37 wins, they'd be fourth seed. If they lose 3 games, or
They might be out the playoffs
yeah,
if
but
they
yeah,
lose 3
basically like
games.
the West is so jam packed in terms of wins. It's like any win streak or losing streak can bump them up or drop them a good amount. So I'm gonna say I'm somewhat concerned, especially on the defensive end. This team, like you said, are they a paper defensive team? Who knows? Because they have some of the better defenders in the league. They have a lot of wing players. It's just very concerning what I've been seeing on the defensive end. Kawhi, not the player he once was. No dissing, obviously, defensively. PG, I don't know what he's doing defensively either.
I know I mentioned this earlier, but like I think you agree with me, and this is my opinion. The stars got to set the tone defensively. Kawhi and
Facts.
PG have to set the tone
That's the
defensively.
one thing
The
I don't think
others
they're
will
doing.
follow. You can't expect the role players to do it. The stars
Facts.
must set the tone. Yeah, you have Russ there, but you
Yeah, but
have
would they be
these
gassed on
guys
the
are
offensive
two-way
end
players. They
though?
have the capability of guarding players. We're in a league now that offensive players tend to win. If it's Luka, you know that we ain't stopping him. So my point is they got to set the tone.
Yeah, they got to set the tone, but I don't know if they're afraid that they'll get gassed on the offensive end, like which to me is weird because Kawhi's always been capable of doing that.
Yeah,
But
and
I'm
now
mainly just
yeah,
concerned about the defense specifically because
it's
their
sad to
defense is looking
say like we
shocking.
shouldn't be worried about this.
You shouldn't. Like this should be your strong suit.
Yeah, now it looks like the weak suit. I just feel like now with the Clippers, it's just like we'll play defense when we need to. It's just not even like, oh, let's actually play defense like a full 40 because I feel like if they do that, they can hold teams under 100. They have the capabilities.
Yeah.
But you can't just play like again, oh, Memphis, man, we can't lose 6 in a row. Let's just play defense so we lock them up to 17. Oh, in that third quarter, I mean, 51 points is
Yeah, that's embarrassing,
absolutely
man.
terrible.
No jaw. No Dylan Brooks. That's
I know.
embarrassing.
I know. Yeah, 100%.
But just to get to the second part, do I think they can make a deep postseason run? I mean, it depends on who they play. Cause I feel like, if I'm being honest, I feel like they can make the playoffs. Like lock, like they have a pretty. Like, I'm not gonna say easy schedule, but they're not playing really tough teams. So I feel like they can cement themselves in the playoff spot. Hopefully, um, but can they make a deep run? I mean, with defense like this, I don't know. They're getting slapped up by Sacramento. If that's a matchup for them, like that's gonna be scary for them. I honestly just don't know because if they give it to all on defense, yes, I'd say yes they can. But to me, defense is looking shocking, and even offensively some games. So I don't know. I generally have no idea with this team. This team is a wild card for me. I
Yeah.
don't know how far they go. I have no idea.
I know this is not really related to this, Josh, but I had to bring this up. You have the Lakers. They're currently 6-3, right? With
Yeah.
their new roster, and they're the Clippers are 1-5. And obviously, people are looking, oh, you see, it's the Russ effect. Lakers clearly better without him. But I want to say one thing to clear this. Russell Westbrook was surrounded by a roster that really could not shoot. Just imagine the stat starting like
Facts.
Russ. You have Patrick Beverly. And of course, no diss on the players, but we know their weaknesses. Lonnie Walker was there, then LeBron, AD, stuff, something like that. And now the Lakers have Malik Beasley, D'Lo, Jared Vanderbilt, who is a very good player, by the way.
Yep.
That's the kind of player you want on your team. So it's a better fit. You got shooting. If you give Russ that kind of roster, I still think he would have a great impact. They still be winning. So let's clear that up. This and that. We're clearly better with the Russ. It's not the Russ problem. It's you got to build a roster that fits around the players. The Clippers have those pieces around. That's why even though they're losing, he's thriving because it's a good fit. He's getting those open shots. We're just losing basketball games because, and I'm gonna say this again, obviously, we're not losing because Russ just came here. We're losing because we ain't defending. It's simple as that. So let's move on to topic 2. Shams reported this Lakers star LeBron James has a right foot tendon injury and will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. So what are your thoughts on this? And do you think the Lakers can still make the playoffs with LeBron expected to miss some time?
Obviously sad to see LeBron hurt like this. Hopefully he'll be
Yeah,
back soon.
100%.
But do I think they can still make the playoffs? Yes. I mean, uh, I don't know if that comes off to surprising to some people, but the West is really packed together. I really don't see them going on. I think they'll go like 500 because their schedule is not even that like they're
Yeah, they
not
have one
playing
of the
really tough
easier
teams.
schedules too, yeah.
So, and when he comes back, I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a win streak because the teams that they're playing are not really like elite teams. Like obviously, there's a Phoenix in there, Dallas sprinkled in there,
Yeah. Right now
Clippers
they're
too, but
missing
the rest of
D'Lo
the teams
too,
aren't that
so
great.
yeah, when D'Lo comes back too as well, like they're missing him right now. He's a
Yeah,
little hurt, but he's expected to come back before LeBron. So
I feel like this really won't be that much of an issue for them because, like I said, it's really packed in the West. A few games separate. Literally, there's there's only between 12th and 4th. It's 5 games. I mean, it's five. It's four. It's yeah. Wait, yeah. Between 12th and 4th is 5 games. Between 8th and 12th is 3 games. So that should tell you all you need to know. Like it's really that jam packed. Anybody in that middle can drop or go up at any time.
mm,
So I feel like there's
100%.
not much worry for them. I feel like they still will make the playoffs, either through the play-in or actually through the playoffs. I don't know, but I feel like we'll be seeing them in the postseason.
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna say this. Obviously, it's a big loss. I think this all comes down to Anthony Davis. As long as he's playing at the elite
Yeah,
level that we've seen
and
him,
staying
obviously
healthy too.
they beat Golden State recently. I was surprised about that one. Not gonna lie, obviously you have Steph there, and they come and win. Anthony Davis at 39. I feel like it falls in the shoulder. Anthony Davis, he just has to step up. He has to be the guy we see in the bubble. He has to dominate. As long as he does that, and the Lakers have an easy schedule, I think they'll. To me, the playoffs, I think we can expect them, to make it, but I think as long as they're in the play-in, they got a chance. LeBron should be back by then. They'll be in the play-in and they can fight for the playoffs. So I don't know if they'll make the playoffs for sure, because obviously play-in is not guaranteed. I still think they have a strong chance. As long as they're in the mix of those top 10, I think they got a real shot. And then LeBron comes back, they'll be fine. But I don't know. I don't think they'll be the top 6, but I do think they'll make the play-in, and from there we'll see what happens. But yeah, I guess we'll see. But it's tough, but hopefully he'll be back soon. But this Lakers team, they're winning games. Obviously, they won't even win a game without AD. So they're winning games. Obviously, like I said, the team it's a good fit. Obviously, you do have players that fit. The players I wish, obviously again they just blamed Russ for this, but it's also it's about fit too, about with roster. So, but yeah, we'll see how that goes.
So next, topic 3, WWE. According to Wrestling Observer Radio, some higher ups in WWE pushed for Zayn to win the match and the title, but WWE stuck with Reigns and his 900 plus day run as world champion instead. Speaking further about the topic on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said some people in WWE had a very strong feeling that Zayn winning would have been the right move. What are your thoughts on this, and do you think WWE made a mistake with their call?
Yeah, obviously my friend Danny, he came on, he came on the our. I'm gonna restart, okay? So, our friend Danny, who, came on the podcast, I spoke to him and he told me about, how upset he was. He thought it was the right moment for Zayn to win. And, after seeing how now the storyline is playing with Zayn, I'm gonna say initially I felt like it was a mistake. Um, because I feel like I have two answers. One, initially is a mistake because again, Sami Zayn has hometown. I mean, he's on fire. The fans love him. Yeah, he's in his hometown. And the match was, I mean, it was an A plus match, probably match of the year contention. It might be the match of the year in 2023. We're gonna have to see and see more matches. But yeah, I mean, he was awesome. Like Sami Zayn had a great match. It was an A plus match. It was so fun to watch. But the thing with me with WWE is there's two things. One, if they would have gave him the title and he won both titles, what happens when he faces Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania? Is it will he lose at WrestleMania? Because if he loses at WrestleMania, he only has like a 40-day reign. I'm not a fan of that. Like I would want him to have a longer reign. So I could see in a sense why he didn't win, because what's the point of him winning if he's just gonna lose at WrestleMania? My only solution to this was to split the titles, have him win one title, have Cody win the other title, so they both kind of get it, both get the titles, and they both kind of deserve it. So that's why I'm not sure if they made a mistake. Initially, I felt like they made a mistake. I do think they should have potentially splitted the titles. That's the only way solution, because I'm not a fan of him just winning the title and just losing it at WrestleMania. Very short reign. But the way he was on fire, the way the storyline was built, it felt like he should have won. Honestly was rooting for him to win, but it is what it is. But I like the new storyline with Jay Uso. He just turned on him. That was a crazy segment. They're gonna do the tag team championship again. For me, initially, I do think they should have split it. I would say I don't think they will regret it, but that was a tough situation. He definitely, in my opinion, I think he should have won it.
Okay, I'm just kind of curious on this. I don't know if maybe this is a dumb question, but
Hmm.
so like I know that it's all scripted kind of, right?
Yeah.
How do they decide like who gets the win? Like is it based off popularity? Because like it says like there were some higher ups that
Yeah.
wanted someone else to win, but they picked him to win.
Yeah, I think is
How does it work?
I mean, the person who's really in charge, like the boss, like for I think Triple H is he's the creative director, so he has the final say. So yeah, there's other people, the writers, everybody who's in the backstage who talk about this. There's a lot of people, but ultimately they'll give him, their reason, like, okay, we should do this, but ultimately is him, the boss has the final say. So Triple H has the final say, and he went with this. So that's kind of how it goes.
Okay, that makes sense. So next, WRKD Wrestling claims Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos is currently slated to be the main event and at the first night of WrestleMania. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think Sami Zayn should be fighting for the tag team title or added to Roman versus Cody? Wait, doesn't wait. How am I supposed to say that? Like,
Or added to the Cody
oh,
and
okay,
Roman
okay,
Reigns. Yeah.
okay. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think Sami Zayn should be fighting for the tag team title or should he be added to Roman versus Cody's match? Or do you have another suggestion?
Yeah, so for me, I like the idea that they're main eventing WrestleMania. I think Sami Zayn deserves to main event WrestleMania. Should they be fighting for tag team style? They built the storyline so good with Jey Uso turning on recently. He was like, "Yo, this is family." That was awesome. I was not expecting the turn to happen that quickly. It did, and now we know they're setting up for that kind of match. I'm excited to see that match. Obviously, a triple threat would have been good, but again, that leaves to one person with it's either Cody or Sammy. They both can't win. The only other suggestion I'll have is if he was going to lose in Montreal, he main events maybe WrestleMania night one with Roman Reigns for one title, and then the other night Cody Rhodes wins the other title. That's the only suggestion I have. I don't like the if triple threat would be great, but again, only one can win. They both can't win. But the tag team title is good as well. But obviously, to me, my ideal suggestion is you split the titles. They wanted to split the titles for some time. You get a chance to do it. These both win it. Both will be on different shows. Then you don't have one guy coming to both shows. It's obviously a lot even on the stars. So yeah, I think the ideal situation was split the titles, but it's clear they're not interested in going in that direction. So let's move on to topic number 4. Ooh, March 4th, 2023, Bucks hosted Philly. The Bucks initially had an 18-point lead. Philly came back and won the game. James Harden finished with 38 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. Joel Embiid added 31 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds. And Philly ended Milwaukee Bucks' 16-game win streak. So, what are your thoughts? And it feels like all year long we've been talking about the Bucks and Celtics being the clear-cut two best teams in the East. After
Yeah,
Philly's impressive win against the Bucks, do you think Philly has a chance to win the East?
100%. I mean, shout out Harden, man. We know what he's capable of. He's capable of doing this every night, in my opinion. I mean, I think Philly has been slept on. I mean, obviously because the Bucks have on the crazy streak, which was broken. But I feel like yes, Philly has been slept on. This is a great team. They're a well-rounded team, and I feel like they deserve some more credit because the way they're playing is great. Maxi's playing great, and B's playing great. MVP consideration. I don't think he's gonna win it, but shout out to him and Harden. We know what he can do. I feel like if Harden plays like this on a nightly basis, even somewhat similar to this team can go very deep into the postseason.
100.
So I feel like yes, this is a big win, impressive win, and yeah, it's just what do you think about it?
James Harden was absolutely spectacular. And for me, James
Facts.
Harden obviously has a different role in this team. This is Joel Embiid's team. He is the second. He's supposed to be the second best player on the team, and obviously he has the capability of still being the number one guy. And he did that night against the Bucks. The Bucks were on the 16-game win streak. They were looking like the best team in the East. And for Philly to be down and come back, I think this was a huge game. Huge. I know it's regular season, but a huge game for their confidence to come and play against the Milwaukee Bucks, the hottest team in the league, beat them in their building. James Harden goes off. He's phenomenal. Joel Embiid was phenomenal. Tyrese Maxey was phenomenal. I mean, look at these numbers. Let's look at this. James 38. You have Joel Embiid 31. Tyrese Maxey 26. I mean, you get a Niang 16. You get some bench contributions. Obviously on the other hand, Bucks. Giannis had let's see, he had 34. Brook 26, Drew Holiday 26. All these, the big three you call for both sides. They played phenomenal. Grayson Allen, he had 20 points in that one quarter. That was crazy. I remember watching that stat. Um, Shout out to him. But it's impressive because I'll say something about Philly. Do they have a chance to win these? Yes. Right now, you've seen the Boston Celtics. They're struggling a bit. And, initially we probably thought, yeah, the Boston is the best team in the East. I might have some questions. I'm not here saying that I'm panicking or something about the Celtics, but there's some questions to be asked because Philadelphia is catching fire on the right time. And obviously, Philadelphia, for some reason, they can't beat Boston, though. They're 0-3 against them.
Yeah.
But regardless, they definitely have a chance. I'll say one thing, and I think I'll leave it at this. James Joel, there's going to be two questions on Philadelphia's success. Obviously, health, and that's not just Philadelphia. There's multiple teams that success will be determined on their health. That's the Clippers, the Lakers, the Warriors could be on this discussion too, and you got Philly. Um, if Joel Embiid, James Harden healthy, if we see this James Harden, because again, this is regular season, we want to see this in the playoffs. James Harden had great playoff moments. I'm talking about, obviously he also had some not so good moments. Um, if he played like this in the playoffs with Joel Embiid, if they play like what we saw in Milwaukee, they can. It's not just they can win the East; they can compete with anybody in any
Yeah,
conference.
I
They can
agree.
compete with Phoenix. They can, if obviously, I think that's the team you think is the best. They could compete with Denver. They can compete. Maybe if the Clippers come out, they could compete with the Clippers, the Warriors, anybody. But with the best players, Joel Embiid, the most important player for the Philadelphia 76ers success is James Harden. And shout out to
Facts.
him. People criticized him
Mm-hmm.
um about him not being the guy, and obviously felt like he took a step back. He was struggling. Obviously what he said, man, about the injury, he knows his body. He said it. He had a full season, chemistry building, right? That takes into effect,
That's
and
true.
he's playing really good. But again, we want to see James Harden do this again in the postseason. They have a case for being the best dynamic duo right now in the league. So this is what then again the success will come down to for sure James Harden. If he plays like this with Embiid and Maxey, everything they got. I mean, they have a well complete team. They got a real shot, and I'm super excited to see how what Philly will do. And again, shout out to Philly. I mean, I still don't looking at the trade now. I don't know how they violated Brooklyn like this. Shout out to Philly, man. So let's move on to this. Obviously, we're gonna talk about this because for some reason it's been heating up. I think it's important to talk about it. The team is very interesting. But Bleacher Report obviously has said that James Harden is serious about the possibility of returning to Houston in free agency in the summer, per Sam Amick, I think, and Kelly IKO. Sorry, Kelly LKO. Um, so what are your thoughts, and do you think James Harden will actually return to Houston next year?
um, no chance. I mean, at first I was kind of playing into it, saying he's going home, trolling a bit, but I feel like there's no chance. He knows he wants a ring. Him going back to Houston would just be a waste of everyone's time, literally. He knows what he wants to do here. He wants to compete. In Houston, he won't be able to compete. He literally left Houston deciding that the roster wasn't good enough and that they could not compete. So why would he go back there with a worse roster? Like, it makes no sense. But maybe thinks he can lead the young guys to victory, but that's not happening. I think this is a fake rumor. I don't know. I don't know why this is even made up, or what's the idea about this. I have no idea. But I feel like he's staying put. I feel like Philly should be worried. Not even one. They should be worried zero. They know he wants a ring. This
Oh,
is
I
the
didn't
place
I
he can
didn't say
do it.
that question, but since you mentioned that, so how worried should Philly be on a scale of 1 to 10? I was gonna ask that next, but you
Oh,
kind of
my
answered
fault.
it.
But yeah, I feel like this should be worried zero. There's no, like, he wants a ring. He knows that this is his opportunity, best chance to win a ring. He has to stay on his team. He's playing with an elite center in
Damn,
Embiid.
zero wasn't on the scale.
Hey man, I had to break it, man, because this to me is a nonsense rumor. I don't know what like what do people actually believe this, because this makes zero sense. I mean, sure he might want to go home, like I've been saying, but come on now, like this can't be real,
Like you
right?
said, he's going home.
like
That
like like
troll. That's funny.
like this can't be real. This makes no sense. Like, come on.
Okay,
What do you
so
think?
no, I don't think. First of all, I don't think he goes to Houston. Yeah, I don't understand this report. I mean, he left Houston. He demanded a trade. Didn't leave on the best terms. He clearly said, "I want to win a championship. This team is not capable of doing it at this point." He goes to Brooklyn, obviously went south. They could have won a championship. Injuries derailed their season. There was a lot of things going on with that franchise. Goes to Philly. This is his best chance to win a championship. I mean, you're with Joe Embiid, arguably, you know, and he's an MVP candidate. Yeah, he hasn't won it, but he's an MVP type player. He's a superstar player, one of the best centers in the league. Um, and then you have Tyrese Maxey, a young and up and coming star who's got better every year. Shout out Ben Simmons, who has not. Um, but Maxey's been getting better every single year. You have Tobias Harris, who's always gone underrated. I feel like he's playing great in the role. that he's given. He's playing great defense, and he can score 18 to 20. Their depth got better. Got Melton, you got Shake Milton, you got Nyang, you got obviously got some good players. You got some vets and PJ Tucker and leadership, a guy who's won a championship. Great, you got a great team. So I just don't see him going. How worried should Philly be on a scale of 1 to 10? Right now, I'm gonna say obviously I'm gonna go with the scale, Josh. I'll say 1, because obviously I just don't see him leaving Philly. But the one thing I will say, him going to Houston, I don't see that happening because again, that's just like, okay, I want to go to Houston. Are you just trying to be like, oh, I'm done winning championships? No disrespect to Houston, but Houston is not in any contention winning a championship. Um, but the one thing I'll say about this, this is gonna be an interesting topic. Maybe for another episode, we'll talk about the top 5 teams who have pressure, to win a championship, and the top 5 players, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Philadelphia will be one of those teams, and the reason is, let's say worst case scenario, Philadelphia gets out early. First you have Daryl Morey. What will happen to him? Will he be gone? Do you have James Harden? He is a free agent. Yes, I don't think he's going to Houston, but could it be possible he lands to a new team? I still think he stays in Philly, but you never know. Could he, go to a new team like, I don't know, Phoenix? And again, I don't know if that would even make sense or would work, contract wise or money wise. Does he go to a new team? Then you have Doc Rivers. He probably loses a job, even though he doesn't deserve to. He's doing a great job. So there's a lot of pressure on there. So I think it just depends on how they finish. If they don't get to the conference finals, it's not going to be right with Philadelphia. And I don't know what's going to happen with all those players or people in the front office and the coach. That's going to be tough. It feels like we look at Philadelphia. Do we think it's a short window? Yeah, maybe, right? Embiid, his history being injury prone. James Harden's, not getting any younger, but he's playing great. So I feel like there's a chance if they get out early, there's a chance that, this might not be good. But as long as I expect them to make a deep run, but again, they're the third team in the East. I think they stay there. Assuming they win their first round matchup, they would potentially play the Bucks or the Celtics in the second round. Obviously, I could see those series going either way, but let's say they lose to them, they're out in the second round again, and they still haven't made it past the second round since the Allen Iverson era. So they have to at least get to the conference finals. I would say probably finals. So I think there's a lot of pressure for sure on Philadelphia, and you don't know what could happen then after that. But our point of the matter is, let's stop this Houston, this whoever put out this Houston thing. That's
A
not
Houston
true.
fan, probably.
But do I potentially think he could go to a different team? I don't know. That's possible. You never. It just depends on how this season goes. If they really underperform, you never know, right? So, but I still believe he'd be in Philadelphia.
So, topic 5, on March 5th, the Dallas Mavericks hosted the Phoenix Suns in a star-studded matchup. This is Kyrie and Katie's first face-off against each other since they've both been traded from the Brooklyn Nets.
Hmm.
The Suns won the game 130 to 126. Katie finished with 37 points, 7 rebounds. Booker had 36 points and 10 assists. On the other end, Kyrie finished with 30 points and 7 assists. Luka had 34 points and 4 assists. So, what are your thoughts on the game?
Um. First of all, this was an awesome game. To see this on Sunday, Katie, Kyrie, 2 former teammates going at it. I mean, this was an absolute phenomenal game. It was it was worth the watch. It was definitely high scoring. Um, and we saw the star showed out. I mean, every star played great. I mean, Booker was phenomenal in the beginning. Katie hit again what he does, clutch shot at the end. Kyrie was spectacular. Even though I know that I said every player, I mean here, every player scored above 30. If you had a good FanDuel parlay, you probably hit that with all these players hitting 30. But the one thing I'll say is I feel like potentially when I was watching the game, like Luca, obviously 8 for 23, 1 for 9 for 3. Watching the game, I feel like, and again, I'm not mad at it. I did feel like personally he was forcing a lot of shots that I felt like he could have, maybe not done that. I never really criticized Luka game, but it felt like for the first time just watching him, just a lot of forced shots, tough shots. He wasn't getting the calls. And obviously I'm not saying, they were not fouls or not, but you know, it felt like his shot wasn't clicking and he would try to force it and it would probably be better off, he maybe made a play, got an open team because Tim Hardaway Jr. played good, and obviously he was not, I don't know if he got a lot of minutes. Let's see. I mean, he played 30. Okay. And look, he was 6 for 8. I think again, like, so that was the only thing I had, but the game was very good. And obviously, we saw what an addition of KD could do to the Phoenix Suns. They elevated them. And Booker, man, I don't know about the argument they have in them. You don't want to poke the bear, man. You were sent home pretty early. You were sent home in game 7. I'm just saying, yeah, I know you got KD, so you can talk like that now. Don't poke the bear.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It was a great game to watch, really end to end stuff. I mean, everyone was on fire that game, to be honest. It was great stuff. I actually love the Luka Booker rivalry, man. At the end, that like that little argument they had or whatever, it's pretty
Luca
entertaining, man.
owns him.
Yeah, yeah, it was a great game. Like I feel like this is a potential playoff matchup that we could see.
Oh yeah, sign me
Who
up
knows?
7 games. But again, do you think Lucas, like if you look at his like 8 for 23, it felt like personally watching the game, he forced a lot of shots. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think he did. I mean, he has games like this. I feel like um this is a good team, Phoenix. So I feel like obviously he was trying to like maybe push the issue a bit. I don't know, but I feel like he'll snap back to the regular form. I feel like this was just one
Yeah,
of
it's
those
just one
one off
game. I
games
just
for
felt
him.
like personally, it felt like he was instead of like maybe taking better shot selection. I never criticized that because he always makes tough shots because he's a great player. But it just felt like a lot of them in the post. He wasn't getting the foul. He was looking at the ref. I just felt like it was just a lot of like. I feel like he could have played better. I mean, look at his numbers though. He still played great, but usually have impact. He'll have like 15 assists if he struggles there. But it's one game. But I mean, it was still star studded.
Next, Suns are 3-0 with KD so far. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think KD's played so far?
I mean, we could go like a plus infinity or something. I mean, he's playing great. I mean, there's really no scale on that. First game, limited minutes, 30, 23 points. I mean, then 20 points the next game, and then 37 in a huge game. Very efficient. I mean, look, I mean, he's 66%, 70, 70. I mean, this is crazy.
Best
50
player in the
from
world,
three, then
man.
50, 60. Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we haven't really talked about our best player in the world, and talked about, and I think, you know what? I'm gonna say like Josh said a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
I'm gonna say only no comment because I want to do it in an episode where we talk about our top 10 players
Okay.
currently. KVD is definitely. I'll just make it clear. He's clearly in the top five. But I would say top three. But um, yeah, I'm only saying no comment not because I'm not Josh. I ain't no hater. I just want to say it in the episode where we do top 10. But regardless, yeah, I mean, he was really he's been really efficient everywhere. Like what we envision, KD, seamless fit. He doesn't really need to dribble the basketball to be a good fit. He's a catch. He can limited touches and play good. He fits anywhere he goes. That's just how his play style is. And Booker's playing great. I think CP3 is the quintessential point guard. He's a great leader. And we saw, I think people were saying about, and I heard this somewhere about like, could the Suns' success come on Chris Paul making open shots or these other, or maybe um, the other players, making open shots because they get doubled and you see a lot of open shots. I think Wainwright got a lot of open shots and he knocked them
Yeah, he
down.
did.
So, because they're gonna double Katie for sure, you'll see some doubles on Booker. So it might come down to these just making open shots because obviously you're not gonna let Katie go 1-on-1. But yeah, he's been playing great. So what are your thoughts? I mean, again, this is I kind of know what you're gonna say on this.
Yeah, me 10. I mean, like you said, infinity above scale. I mean, look at these numbers he's putting up, man. He put up 37 in game versus Dallas, 20 versus Chicago, 23 versus Charlotte. I mean, and his shooting percentage, like you said, 70% for most of these games. From three, 50%, 50%, 60%. He's shooting lights out. I mean, and this is him playing within the offense. He's not even trying to take over. He's playing within the offense. So just imagine if he actually locked in and said, I'm gonna do this myself, which now he doesn't have to do at all. But this is just amazing for me, man. Like I said, he's the best player in basketball right now, in my opinion. And I feel like this team can go very far with him. Like this, him playing like this, how he always plays, open up shots for everyone else. Like I seen the game, CP3 had open shots, Booker had open shots, Booker drive and kick. Like they were like it was just free flowing basketball. Dare I say, this may be a controversial take, similar to a Golden State situation. Obviously not the same, but when you have so much threats around him, around each other, like it opens up the game for everyone else.
Yeah.
So you never know who's gonna go off. Like I feel like one game Chris Paul might have 30. Like
I think the difference was they had Steph and Clay, and we obviously Booker's a different play style, but obviously it's still
yeah, I just feel
I
like there's like a
understand it,
lot of
but
weapons around.
that is true. Still somewhat similar weapons for sure. So moving on to topic 6, we have March 5th. Boston hosted the Knicks. Even though the Knicks were missing Jalen Brunson, the Knicks won the game in double overtime, 139 to 129. Quickly led the way with 38 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Um, Julius Randle also had an awesome game, 31 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Um, so first, what are your thoughts on the game?
Obviously, it was a great win. Shout out quickly, man. I always knew he was a talent. I feel like he should get more minutes. Obviously, with Brunson, being the lead guard,
Yeah,
he's
he
not gonna
took
play as
advantage of
much.
Brunson out there. He stepped up and really, obviously, big win for the Knicks to
Yeah,
beat Boston, fully loaded team. Obviously, I know Boston's been struggling. Knicks beat them 3 out of 4 times. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I feel like Randall also another big game from him. He's playing really well this season. I think he's been their best player this season. Honestly, obviously next to Brunson. I think Brunson really brought out the best in him. He's
He brought
playing
out
way
the
more
floor
consistent.
general, that leadership that you
Yeah,
need on a team. He's definitely had a
and
positive impact on the team for sure.
he's just playing the best he can. Obviously, Tibbs. There's been some controversy about Tibbs from
I
some Knicks
told
fans,
you.
but
I told you. That's all I'm gonna say. I told you. All this talk about, oh, like they're on its losing streak. It was like, oh, Tibbs, Tibbs, Tibbs. My friend Danny was even talking about it. I said, calm down. And after a few games, y'all be back. And then if something bad happens, you'll turn on him again. It's just how big markets work everywhere you go. I even hear about Darvin Ham, the Lakers fans, like he gotta go. So look at this, bro. This happens anytime in a big market.
they've been playing pretty good recently. I mean, I think, yeah, I know my initial take about them was way off, but yeah, they're playing really good now. They're pretty consistent as well.
Way off.
They're playing
Way,
pretty.
way off.
They're really consistent too. So I mean, hopefully they can make a run in the playoffs. Who knows? But yeah, shout out the Knicks, man.
And shout out me for being right.
I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day,
Oh,
man.
here we go. This clown. There we go. That was funny though. Yeah, my thoughts on this game. Like I say, New York is the best time right now in New York. Shout out Danny. I know his last season was a tough season, but I'm so happy for all the Knicks fans out there. They're very deserving of this. This is what they've been waiting for. 9-game win streak. Jalen Brunson has become, instead of being considered apparently they were saying mid tier, overpaid. He's become underpaid. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Great addition to his team. I knew he was going to have this kind of impact. I think he's exceeded my levels. I think I had him averaging 23. I think he's averaging that too. I did say he was going to be a better playmaker. I said that because now he doesn't have Luka to be there, so he's going to have more touches. But even though with the expectation I had of Brunson, I feel like he even surpassed my expectations of what I thought he'd be in New York. I thought he'd be phenomenal, have an all-star caliber season, which he's had, but I feel like he took it to even more of a higher level. Because also they're like fifth. I had them top six, so I'm kind of in the range of where I thought they ended up. But I mean, it's special is a but regardless, this was a let's get to talk about the game. Big win for the Knicks, obviously, to have no Brunson still find a way to win the game. I mean, quickly was phenomenal. Obviously, he comes off the bench. He plays not as much minutes, but obviously you understand you have Brunson, but he took advantage. He stepped up big time, led the Knicks, was spectacular. Shout out RJ Bear. I know he's been struck on and off, but he had a great game, 29 points. Julius Randle, I mean, at this point, it's an expectation of how great he is. Everybody played great. Everybody pitched in. Josh Hart was a very good trade. I mean, they've been 9-0 with him. I know, just shockingly today we're recording this, and their losing streak is over. Shockingly to the Hornets. That's very surprising. I know Brunson didn't play, but we're gonna get into that. So the Knicks are currently on a 9-game win streak. Again, now they won 9 out of 10. They just lost today, so that streak comes to an end. They are one game behind the Cavs for the fourth seed. I think now it's about probably 2 games. Now, if the Knicks and Cavs faced each other in the first round, can the Knicks win? Because there's a chance this might happen.
Yeah, they could win. Do I think it'll happen? No. I think the Cavs are just like on another level than them, honestly. I
Okay.
mean, you see with the Cavs, I feel like the Cavs are literally a complete team. They have the defense, they have the offense, they have the playmaking, they have the scoring,
Mm.
and they're really consistent. Obviously, they haven't gone on a win streak like the Knicks, but I feel like the Cavs are a really good team. I think they're a sleeper team. They're a threat to a lot of teams. The Knicks could
Okay.
they beat them? Yeah, but I would if they were to be matched up, I wouldn't pick the Knicks to win a series. It would be a close competitive series, but I would not pick the Knicks to come out that round.
Can the Knicks beat them? They're going to beat them. How about that? If
Here
they
we
face
go.
each other, they are going to beat
Here
them.
we go.
Because I'm gonna say, okay, obviously, if the Cavs won, would I be surprised? I understand. Probably not. I wouldn't be surprised. They're a very good team. But let's just say this. Before maybe you wouldn't have admit this, Josh. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Donovan Mitchell, and Darius Garland. Which is the better dynamic duo? You can have an argument for either side. Am I wrong or am I
I
right?
mean, yeah, I guess you can. Sure,
Okay.
yeah,
And if you look, what do the Cavs have? They've kind of don't have playoff experience, right? They don't really have
yeah.
too much playoff experience. That's something they have. The Knicks have a little bit. You have Brunson, who's made it to the conference finals. He has that playoff experience. Julius Randle's been there with the Knicks once, 2 years back. Donovan Mitchell has basically the most experience um with the Utah Jazz. Obviously, I understand there's no knock on him. Obviously, he made it to the second round, but he had a lot of playoff experience. So both sides, obviously, there's some lack of playoff experience. Um, I do think the Knicks could it come down to home court advantage potentially because Knicks are fifth right now, the Cavs are fourth. I do think the Knicks have a real shot at beating the Cavs. I mean, if you look at how they match up, you have Brunson, their starting lineup. I think if you look at both sides, I mean, they're both strong teams starting lineup wise. Obviously, very strong. They both have good centers. They have two elite star players. And the depth, the Knicks depth is very good. I mean, a lot of good young players. Topman, quickly. We just saw what quickly did tonight. Josh Hart, who's been very good for them. Very, very good depth. I don't know if you agree with me, Josh. I think the Knicks depth is better than the Cavs. Obviously, you have Donovan Mitchell. We could probably agree Donovan Mitchell was the best player in that series, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle have a couple of games that they outplay him. I do think the Knicks have a legitimate chance to win because obviously when we talk about winning a championship, I don't know if they're at that level yet. I don't think I would go that far. But when we talk about winning a series, you need stars, and they have two all stars, and so does Cleveland. So I think it could be a pick'em series. This can go 7 games. It can come down to who have home court. But home court or not, I do think the Knicks have a legitimate chance. I think if they have home court, the Knicks definitely are in favor of winning the series. Could come down to that, but I believe the Knicks have a real chance to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. And like I say, like people say, I know you're gonna say I'm not a Knicks fan, which I know
You're
I'm a Clippers
not.
fan, but I'm gonna say one thing. I always say something about New York. It's always Knicks over Nets. It's always. So,
Oh
like I
my.
say, you got to say New York stand up, and for the Nets, New Jersey stand down. Let's move on. The Knicks have beaten the Knicks have beaten Boston 3 out of 4 times this season. The Knicks have beat Philly 2 out of 4 times this season, and they're 0-3 against the Bucks. Do you think the Knicks have a chance against the Bucks, Philly, and the Celtics in the playoffs? And obviously, I just want to say one thing. Obviously, the 3 times that they beat Boston, Tatum played 2 of those 3 games. I know Brown missed one. The 2 times they beat Philly, one time I know there was no James, no Joel. They were missing basically their whole team. The one time they did beat them, they had all of them, and obviously the Bucks beat them all 3 times. So yeah, go ahead.
I think. Uh, I mean, I know Boston, as you said, like their record's pretty good against Boston, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like the playoffs, man, like they're not gonna be. I don't know. I feel like these teams are just some ahead of. Sure, the Knicks can punch above their weight class in a sense, but I feel like these teams are on another level than the Knicks.
Mm.
Like if that makes sense. I feel like these teams. I feel like they could have a chance, but like I said before with the Cavs, I'm not picking the Knicks to come out. If the Knicks play any of these teams, I'm not picking any of these teams to lose to the Knicks. I feel like all these teams will beat the Knicks if they play in a series. It'll be a competitive series, obviously, but I feel like these teams are just clear of the Knicks. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I don't feel like they have a chance, obviously, but the chance is it a big chance? No. So that's my take on it.
I'm gonna say this. I think it just depends on who they match up. Obviously, they struggled against the Bucks. They're 0-3 against them. I feel personally, if they play the Bucks, I don't think it's the best matchup for them. Um, I think that's a series I do see them. I could see the Knicks winning 2 games in that series. I will say one thing. Obviously, I know it's just regular season. If they match up against Boston, for some reason, Boston has not matched up very good with the Knicks. The Knicks have kind of had their number. I think the Knicks could really push Boston and potentially win the series. I'm not gonna say definitively. I know it's just a regular season, but they could really have a chance against Boston. I don't like Boston when Boston play the Knicks. I don't like that match. I feel like the Knicks have an advantage. Matchup wise, I don't think it's a good series for Boston. Not a favorable series. Philly again, James and Joel, that pick and roll, ain't nobody can guard it. So I think the Philly would win too. I do think again, I think they would have their best chance of winning if they play Boston, Philadelphia, and the Bucks. I do think they have a chance. I could see them in all these series potentially going 6 games. I don't think it'd be easy when you have Brunson, Randall. It all depends on obviously how they play in the playoffs, but they got a real chance for sure. And yeah, these Knicks they're on fire. Let's move on. The Celtics, they've lost 3 in a row. They were up 28 points against the Nets. They lost. They were up double digits against the Knicks. They lost. And obviously, they were missing Jalen Brunson. And they also I think they played the Cavs. And yeah, they were up double digits and they lost. And Grant Williams said, I'm going to make both free throws. He missed both free throws. They go to overtime and they lost. So on a scale of 1 to 10, should the Celtics be worried? Is it time for panic?
No, I don't think they should panic at all. I'm gonna say like maybe two. I feel like they're a great team. They know that they have championship experience. They know what it takes to get out of ruts like this, and I
Mm,
feel like they can turn it around relatively quickly. They just have to, ride together and just focus and just get wins that they can get. Because they're not a bad team. They're a good team. They have elite talent. They're great on both sides of the ball. They just have to, lock in and just play like they know that they can play.
mm,
And I feel like once they do
mm,
that,
mhm.
they'll be right back to where they were before. So I'm say yeah, two. Like not worried at all.
For me personally, I look at Boston and I think, you know, I give it. I'll say one. I mean, I don't think I'd worry this quickly. Obviously, they've been playing very good basketball all season long. Joe Masu is an exceptional job as a first year head coach. I mean, they're number one now. They're number two. But the one thing I'll say, there was a time before I think I felt like, okay, Boston, they look like the clear cut favorite to come out the East. Maybe the clear cut to win a championship. Then you had Katie going to Phoenix. Everything was going dominoes and people were changing teams and might have shifted my mindset. But one thing I'll say, with their struggling a little and Milwaukee's kind of dominated, even though Chris Middleton's kind of not played all the games. He's still coming back from this injury. And then Philadelphia kind of, beating Milwaukee and then winning these games. I will say one thing. I don't think it's clear cut anymore that Boston will win the East. I like Philly. I like Milwaukee. One of these three teams I see coming out the East. But now I don't look at it as then they definitely will come out the East. I think the Bucks have really caught fire and Philly. And these are one of these two teams that will win it. Before, I thought it was Boston, clear cut, but I don't feel that way anymore. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like it's a bit more open now. All those other teams you said are really good. They're very competitive teams, and I feel like it's almost a toss up now. To be honest,
And also, I don't know if this is a crazy take. I know the Knicks are fifth in the rankings, in the NBA standings, but I do think the Knicks have now became a top four team in the East. They
that's
are.
interesting.
I'm telling you, these Knicks, man. I'm like, ah, Knicks. It's so funny, we talk about Brooklyn running New York. It's just laughable at this point. The Knicks were superior from day one. KD, Kyrie, it don't matter who was here. They were superior from day one. But hey, it's crazy. The Knicks are running New York like always, and
Like
I know it's tough. I know it's
always,
a tough day for Joshua as a obviously, besides being a Phoenix supporter, a bandwagon
I'm
fan
not
that
a
he
Phoenix.
is. Now he's a Nets
Ironic.
supporter. You gonna be like ironic coming from me?
Exactly.
I'm weak. I'm telling you though, but the Knicks run New York City. Shout out to my guy Brandon and Kevin, Nets fans. Hey, by the way, I'm not going to diss the Nets. Mikal Bridges is balling over there. By the way, it's been the perfect situation for the trade. He's been balling, playing really good basketball. They're a good team. They're just not better than the Knicks, and it's okay to accept that, right, Josh? I want to
I
give. I
guess
do
at the
want to give
moment,
love.
yeah. I
I want.
mean,
Oh, at this moment, no. Yes, say it. Say
at the
it.
moment,
Yes.
because we know when Katie was here, we know who the real king of the city was.
Hmm. I'm
Facts.
I'm trying to look like Charles Barkley said. I'm looking at the banners on the wall in Barclays. I'm just envisioning it. I see a play-in banner. I see one playoff
Oh
series
my
win in the
gosh.
KD Kyrie era. Interesting. I see a sweep. I don't know. I'm a little curious. How you run New York if you
The
can't win
talent, the
anything?
talent. Y'all won nothing as well, so it's talent
Hold,
versus
hold up,
talent.
y'all. I'm a huge fan of the Knicks, but I am
You
a
see,
Kawhi
like you're
guy. I'm a fan of the
this
Knicks. Of
guy,
course,
bro.
if
So the
New
Knicks won
York
nothing
is
as
Knicks
well.
over
So
Nets, I
so
love
when it
to
comes
see
to
when
that,
the
is
Knicks are
when it
good.
comes to that, is based off straight talent, and we know who had the better talent. Simple.
You couldn't tell with the success that the Brooklyn had.
A week. Well, it doesn't matter. The talent was better, bro. Just like
Yeah.
we know who runs LA. Facts.
Well, I'm a leave that conversation.
Exactly. No comment, right? No
Obviously,
comment.
we own them in the regular season, but we have no banners to show for it. But obviously, the Nets have none either. I mean, again, Kevin Durant, like I said, should have went to the Garden. But hey, man, we all make mistakes. But um, it's obviously injury. I know I troll enough. I understand that injuries played a role in that. But regardless, the Knicks were always superior to the Nets, and you know it.
Um, you mean like in terms of what?
Bro, in terms of just greatness, bro, they
Fan
were
base, sure,
so
yeah.
great, bro.
Reputation, I
They
guess. Greatness from
overachieved.
what? They've won nothing.
So have the Nets. Nobody
Okay, so
expected the
how can
Knicks
you
to win
say
anything.
greatness? They've
Everybody
won
expected the
nothing.
Nets to win
Like,
something. And it's crazy because the Nets has so much turmoil. Everybody, requesting trades, all this turmoil. If this was the Knicks, like Danny even said, they would be clowning this franchise. Feels like the Nets get left under the hook. You know why? Because I don't really think people mind about the Nets. It's about the Knicks. Knicks run New York. I don't know. I don't like how people like talk about the Nets like they run New York. They're from New Jersey.
bro, they relocated to Brooklyn. Give them their respect.
I
They
couldn't tell with
relocated. They're
them.
here now.
I guess we have the New Jersey Nets playing banner. Hey, run New York or New Jersey. Sometimes you can't tell what borough they're in.
I mean, I'm weak. This guy, bro.
But that concludes episode 33 of the Straight Sports Podcast. You can always follow us at Straight Sports Podcast on Instagram. Always you could definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate that. And we keep posting episodes. It's always fun to record. And obviously, we want to next episode. I'm thinking about that pressure thing. I think that'd be a cool topic to talk about. But for sure, maybe down the line we're thinking about, potentially, on our social media asking, what you guys want to hear next. I think it's cool to do an episode like that, right, Josh? Like just asking the people what they want to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah.
We've never done that. We just kind of ideas, and if you always have ideas, people will follow us. You can always message us and we will, obviously we're always open for suggestions. And yeah, it's fun to record. It's always fun. Like I said, it's tough for and I know today is a tough day for Josh. He's just been wrong about the Knicks, and I've been right. So shout out me and not shout out Josh.
I'm weak.
Clippers run LA. Okay, I'm trolling. I'm trolling.
Yikes. All right,
Um,
thanks for watching, guys.
like base.
Peace.